How could you steal my fiancé? He chose me. Deal with it. Fine, I'll marry someone else.
I'm a single dad, not rich. He's a trillionaire owner.
No, this can't be happening.
On the morning of her engagement party, Amelia walked in expecting flowers, champagne, and forever. Instead, she found her best friend wearing her ring, and her rich fiancé smiling like betrayal was just another business deal. Humiliated in front of everyone, Amelia refused to cry. She walked out with nothing but her dignity and, in a moment of heartbreak and defiance, agreed to marry Noah, a quiet, struggling single that everyone looked down on. To the world, Noah was poor, ordinary, a man with a little girl, an old truck, and no powerful friends. But Amelia had no idea the man she married was hiding a secret bigger than the scandal that destroyed her. Noah wasn't broke. He was a trillionaire. And worse for her ex-fiancé, Noah secretly owned the very company about to decide who would receive an $8.9 billion contract. When Amelia's best friend discovered the truth, she didn't beg for forgiveness. She tried to destroy Amelia all over again with a lie so dangerous it could ruin Noah's empire. But Noah's response was unimaginable. He didn't just expose the betrayal. He turned the $8.9 billion contract into the ultimate revenge. Because sometimes the woman everyone abandons becomes the one they all regret losing. The ballroom at the Whitmore estate glittered like it had been designed to make ordinary people feel small. Crystal chandeliers spilled light over champagne towers. White orchids climbed gold columns. A string quartet played near the marble staircase, while Newport's wealthiest families drifted through the room in diamonds, silk, and practiced smiles. Amelia Harper stood at the entrance in an emerald gown Grant Whitmore himself had chosen. "You look unforgettable," he had told her. Now she understood why. Everyone turned when she arrived, not with admiration, not with warmth, with the awful stillness of people who already knew the ending before the main character did. Her mother, Evelyn, stood near the front with one hand pressed against her pearls. She looked pale, but she did not move toward Amelia. Amelia's eyes swept the room, searching for Grant. Then she saw him. He stood beside the grand fireplace in his black tuxedo, calm and polished, holding a champagne flute like he had not just destroyed her life. And beside him stood Madison Vale, Amelia's best friend. Madison wore a gold silk dress that shimmered every time she breathed. The same gold dress Amelia had once admired in a boutique window before deciding it was too bold for an engagement party. On Madison's finger was Amelia's ring. For one strange second, Amelia's mind refused to understand what her eyes were showing her. That ring had belonged to Grant's grandmother. He had placed it on Amelia's hand 6 months ago at the harbor, promising her loyalty beneath a sky full of fireworks. Now Madison lifted that same hand slightly, as if she wanted the room to notice. A low murmur passed through the guests. Someone's phone rose, then another. Grant stepped forward with a smile that belonged in a boardroom, not at the scene of a betrayal. "Amelia," he said, his voice carrying just enough for the room to hear, "I didn't want you to find out like this." She looked at him. Find out what? Madison's lips parted, but she said nothing. Grant exhaled, almost annoyed. "Madison and I are together. We have been for a while." The words landed softly, but they broke something loud inside her. A woman near the champagne table gasped. Someone whispered, "Poor thing." Another person muttered, "Didn't she know?" Amelia looked at Madison, her best friend of 12 years, the girl who had slept over during thunderstorms, the woman who had helped choose floral arrangements, guest lists, and wedding invitations. "You planned my wedding with me," Amelia said quietly. Madison's expression flickered, but only for a second. Then she lifted her chin. "I didn't plan for this to happen." "No," Amelia said, "you just let it." Grant's father, Richard Whitmore, cleared his throat. "This is unfortunate, but we should all remain civil." Civil. The word almost made Amelia laugh. Grant had taken her future, Madison had taken her place, and the room wanted Amelia to make it comfortable for them. Her mother hurried over at last, gripping Amelia's arm. "Sweetheart, don't make a scene." Amelia slowly turned to her. "I'm the scene." Evelyn's eyes filled with panic. "There are cameras. Important people are here. Just come with me." "No." It was the first word Amelia had said all night that felt like it belonged to her. Grant's jaw tightened. "Amelia, you'll be taken care of. I'm not heartless." "How generous." "I mean it. I'll have my assistant send something. Money, if you need time to relocate." Madison glanced away, ashamed for the first time. But Amelia did not cry. She did not scream. She reached down, gathered the hem of her emerald gown, and walked straight through the ballroom. The whispers followed her. So did the phones. But she did not give them the satisfaction of watching her break. Outside, the garden air was cold enough to sting. Amelia stopped beside a stone fountain, gripping its edge, as the music inside continued like nothing had happened. A man's voice came from the shadows. "Here." She turned. A man stood near the garden path in worn jeans, a faded flannel shirt, and work boots with dust on the soles. He held out a bottle of water. Amelia stared at him. "Who are you?" "Noah Bennett," he said. "I came to see someone inside." He did not explain more. He did not stare at her gown. He did not ask for gossip. He simply offered the water again. After a moment, Amelia took it. "Thank you," she whispered. "You looked like you needed one honest thing tonight." That almost broke her more than the betrayal had. She twisted the cap open with trembling fingers. "Did you see?" "Enough." "Then you know I'm officially pathetic." "No," Noah said calmly. "I know you walked out when most people would have stayed and begged for dignity from people who didn't have any to give." Amelia looked at him then. Really looked. He was handsome, but not in Grant's polished, expensive way. Noah's face carried quiet weariness, the kind built from responsibility and long days. His eyes were steady, kind, but not soft enough to be fooled. From inside the ballroom, laughter rose. Amelia flinched. Noah noticed, but did not comment. "Do you have somewhere to go?" She almost said yes. Then she remembered Grant's penthouse, where half her clothes still hung, the office where Grant had helped her get hired, the mother who had just asked her not to embarrass anyone. "No," she admitted. A small boy ran around the corner of the hedge maze, clutching a toy truck. "Daddy." Noah turned instantly. "Mason, I told you to stay by the truck." "I got scared," the boy said, then looked at Amelia. "Are you sad?" Amelia swallowed. Noah crouched beside him. "Mason." "It's okay," Amelia said softly. "Yes, a little." Mason studied her with the serious eyes only children seemed able to have. "When I'm sad, Daddy gets coffee." Despite everything, Amelia let out a tiny, broken laugh. Noah stood. "There's a diner 10 minutes from here. Bad coffee, quiet booths, no chandeliers." Amelia looked back at the glowing mansion. Through the windows, she could see Madison beside Grant, already being folded into Amelia's old life. Then she looked at Noah's old Ford pickup, parked beyond the garden gate. A poor single dad, a stranger, a man with nothing to offer except water, coffee, and the first honest kindness she had received all night. For reasons she did not yet understand, Amelia stepped away from the fountain. "Bad coffee sounds perfect," she said. And as Noah opened the gate for her, the ballroom behind Amelia kept glittering, unaware that the woman it had humiliated had just taken her first step toward a life none of them could afford to imagine. The diner was called Rosie, though no one named Rosie seemed to work there. It sat between a closed laundromat and a tire shop, glowing beneath a flickering red sign. The floors were old, the booths were cracked, The coffee tasted like it had been brewed during another presidency. But it was quiet, and that made it feel like mercy. Amelia sat across from Noah with both hands wrapped around a chipped mug. Mason was beside him, half asleep against his father's arm, his toy truck resting on the table between the sugar packets. Noah had ordered pancakes for Mason and black coffee for himself. Amelia had ordered nothing at first, but the waitress brought her toast anyway and said, "You look like toast might help." For the first time that night, Amelia almost cried. Not because of Grant, not because of Madison. Because strangers were being kinder to her than the people who claimed to love her. Noah did not ask 100 questions. He did not demand the full story. He simply sat there, steady and quiet. As if he understood that humiliation had weight, and sometimes the kindest thing a person could do was help carry the silence. Mason blinked sleepily at Amelia. "Are you going home?" Amelia looked down at her mug. "I'm not sure where home is tonight." Noah's expression changed, but only slightly. "There's a motel off Harbor Road. It's clean, I know the owner, I can drive you." "You don't have to rescue me," Amelia said. "I know." That answer surprised her. Most men she knew wanted credit for basic decency. Grant would have turned a single act of kindness into a speech about his generosity. Noah simply reached for a napkin and wiped syrup from Mason's sleeve. By morning, Amelia's humiliation had become entertainment. A video of Grant announcing Madison as his new fiancé had spread through social circles before sunrise. Someone had captured Amelia's face at the exact moment she saw the ring. Someone else had recorded her walking out. The captions were worse than the footage. Poor Amelia. Did she really not know? Madison won. At 10, Amelia received a message from Grant's assistant. "Grant would like to offer $50,000 to assist with your transition. Funds can be wired today if you sign the attached confidentiality agreement." Amelia stared at the message from the motel bed, still wearing yesterday's emerald gown because she had not been able to return to Grant's penthouse for her clothes. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was from her mother. "Please don't make this worse. Take the money, let people move on." Amelia set the phone down slowly. "People. Not you. Not my daughter. Just people." At noon, she went to the coffee shop near the motel wearing jeans from a discount store, flat shoes, and a plain white sweater that still had a crease from the shelf. Noah was already there with Mason, who was coloring a dinosaur purple. "You came," Noah said. "You invited me. I wasn't sure you'd want to be seen with the guy in the old truck after last night." Amelia gave him a tired smile. "After last night, the old truck is the least embarrassing thing in my life." Noah's mouth twitched, almost a smile. She sat down. "Grant sent money." Noah watched her carefully. "Are you taking it?" "No." "Good." The certainty in his voice warmed her more than the coffee. Amelia pulled the printed agreement from her bag and slid it across the table. "He wants me to sign this. It says I won't speak negatively about him, Madison, his family, or any business connected to Whitmore Development." Noah read it once. Then again. Something sharpened in his eyes. "This isn't just about gossip," he said. "What do you mean?" "It's broad, too broad. If you sign this, they could use it to scare you out of job opportunities, interviews, even legal claims if they damage your reputation." Amelia frowned. "You sound like a lawyer." "I'm not." "Then what are you?" Noah folded the paper neatly. "A consultant." "What kind?" "The boring kind." Mason looked up. "Daddy used to have lots of offices." Noah's jaw tightened slightly. "Mason." "What you did?" Amelia noticed the change, but she did not press. Everyone was entitled to a locked room inside themselves. 3 days later, Amelia lost her job. Not officially because of Grant. Officially, the company was restructuring. Officially, her position had become redundant. Officially, there was nothing personal about security escorting her from the building while co-workers pretended not to watch. But her supervisor could not meet her eyes. That told Amelia enough. By Friday evening, she was sitting in Noah's modest apartment while Mason built towers from mismatched blocks on the rug. The place was small, clean, and warm. A folded blanket covered the arm of the sofa. A stack of children's books leaned beside a lamp. Coffee brewed in the kitchen, filling the room with something ordinary and safe. Amelia looked at Noah. "Why are you helping me?" He leaned against the counter. "Because I know what it looks like when powerful people decide someone else is disposable." "That sounds personal." "It is." Before she could ask more, her phone rang. "Grant." She almost ignored it, then she answered on speaker. "Amelia," Grant said smoothly, "you're making this harder than it has to be." "I haven't done anything." "You refused the agreement." "I refused to sell my silence." Grant sighed. "You always were dramatic." Noah's face went still. Grant continued, "You need to understand something. I can make sure no respectable company in this city hires you again. Take the money, leave Newport, start over somewhere smaller." Amelia's hand trembled, but her voice did not. "No." There was a pause. Then Grant laughed softly. "And what exactly are you going to do? Marry the first broke man who hands you coffee?" The room went silent. Mason looked up from his blocks. Amelia's face burned. But Noah pushed away from the counter and walked toward her with calm, dangerous quiet. He took the phone from the table. "Careful," Noah said. Grant scoffed. "Who is this?" "No one you need to worry about yet." Then Noah ended the call. Amelia stared at him. "Yet." Noah placed the phone down. "He's not going to stop." "I know. He wants you isolated, unemployed, ashamed, easy to control." Her throat tightened. "And what am I supposed to do?" Noah looked at Mason, then back at her. "There's one thing he won't expect." Amelia gave a humorless laugh. "Please don't say revenge." "No," Noah said, "stability." She blinked. He continued, "I need help with Mason. You need protection from people who think being unmarried, unemployed, and alone makes you weak. A courthouse marriage would give you distance from Grant's story. It would also give Mason someone he already trusts." Amelia stood slowly. "That is insane." "Yes. You barely know me. I know enough to trust your character." "That's not love." "No," Noah said honestly, "but it could be respect, safety, a beginning." Mason walked over and slipped his small hand into Amelia's. "Are you going to be my mom now?" he asked. Amelia's heart broke open in a place betrayal had not touched. She knelt in front of him. "I don't know, sweetheart." Noah's voice softened. "You can say no." Amelia looked at him, at his worn flannel, old jeans, tired eyes, and impossible steadiness. Grant had offered money to erase her. Noah was offering a name to shelter her. Not romance, not a fantasy. A lifeline. 2 days later, Amelia stood beside Noah at the courthouse in a simple blue dress from Target. Mason held a paper cup of coffee with both hands, proud to be trusted with it. The judge asked if she took Noah Bennett as her husband. Amelia looked at the man everyone would call poor. Then she thought of the mansion, the phones, the ring on Madison's finger, and the life that had burned behind her. "I do," she said. And for the first time since the ballroom, Amelia felt something stronger than shame. She felt free. Married life did not begin with roses. It began with laundry. Amelia stood in Noah's small apartment on a Tuesday morning, folding Mason's dinosaur pajamas while coffee hissed from the old machine on the kitchen counter. Her courthouse dress hung over the back of a chair, the hem wrinkled from where Mason had stepped on it while hugging her after the ceremony. There had been no reception, no champagne, no photographers, no string quartet. Just a judge, a little boy with syrup on his sleeve, and Noah standing beside her in a charcoal jacket that looked older than Mason. Yet somehow it had felt more honest than anything Grant had ever given her. Still, honesty did not make life easy. The world found out by noon. By evening, Amelia's phone was full of messages. "You married him. Is this a joke? Grant must be laughing." Madison posted a photo that night from inside Grant's penthouse. She wore Amelia's old silk robe, the one Amelia had left behind when she fled. Her caption read, "Some women lose because they were never meant to win." Amelia stared at it for a long time. Then she blocked Madison. Noah noticed from across the room, but said nothing. He only placed a mug of coffee beside her and returned to helping Mason glue paper stars to a school project. That was Noah's way. He did not rush into her pain, demanding to be useful. He stayed near enough that she knew she was not alone. Over the next 2 weeks, Amelia rebuilt her life in small, stubborn pieces. She bought 3 work blouses from a clearance rack. She updated her resume at Noah's kitchen table after Mason went to bed. She applied to companies that did not answer. She applied to smaller firms that sent polite rejections. She applied to a charity office that told her she was overqualified, which she had learned was often a gentler way of saying inconvenient. Grant's shadow followed everywhere. People who used to answer her calls suddenly became busy. Former co-workers sent vague sympathy but no leads. One recruiter accidentally forwarded her an email chain where someone had written, "Whitmore situation. Avoid." Amelia read it once. Then she closed the laptop and washed dishes until her hands hurt. Noah came in quietly. "You don't have to pretend you're fine." "I'm not pretending," she said. "I'm practicing." He leaned against the counter, wearing that same worn flannel, sleeves pushed to his forearms. Practicing what? Not giving them the satisfaction. Something like pride moved through his face. The next morning, he brought her a notebook. "What's this?" "A place to write down every company that rejects you." "That sounds depressing." "No," Noah said, "it's evidence." "For what?" "For when the pattern becomes useful." Amelia frowned. "You say terrifying things very calmly." "I've been told." He smiled a little, and Amelia felt it like sunlight through a closed curtain. That afternoon, while Mason napped, she found Noah at the kitchen table with documents spread in front of him. They were not normal bills. They were thick contracts full of clauses, signatures, and financial terms that made her head ache. At the top of one page, she caught the words, "Blackstone Harbor Global." Noah closed the folder before she could read more. Amelia raised an eyebrow. "Freelance consulting." "Yes, for companies that use 40-page acquisition agreements." His eyes held hers, sometimes. She waited. He did not continue. A small hurt settled in her chest, unexpected and sharp. "You know, I married you without knowing much." "I know. And you asked me to trust you." "I did. But you're hiding something." Noah looked toward Mason's bedroom, then back at her. "I'm not hiding anything that would hurt you." "That's not the same as telling the truth." He absorbed that without defense. "You're right." "Then tell me." A phone rang before he could answer. Not his regular phone. A second phone. Noah removed it from his jacket pocket and stepped onto the balcony. Amelia watched through the glass as his posture changed. He stood straighter, his voice lowered, his face became unreadable. She could not hear everything. "Only pieces. No movement until I review the board packet. No, Whitmore Development doesn't get special treatment. Send it to my private line." "Whitmore?" Amelia's pulse quickened. When Noah came back inside, she was standing by the table. "What does Whitmore Development have to do with your consulting?" His face went still. Before he could answer, someone knocked on the door. Hard. Noah opened it to find a courier holding a legal envelope. Amelia Bennett. The name startled her. Bennett. Not Harper. She signed with a hand that felt suddenly cold. Inside was a formal complaint from Whitmore Development's legal department. It accused Amelia of damaging Grant's reputation, interfering with business relationships, and violating implied confidentiality expectations tied to her prior involvement with the Whitmore family. There was no signed agreement. There was no real case. But there were enough threats to scare someone who had already lost everything. Amelia sat down slowly. Noah read the complaint in silence. His calm changed. It did not break, it hardened. "They're trying to bury you in legal costs," he said. Amelia pressed a hand to her forehead. "I don't have money for a lawyer." "You won't need to pay for one." She looked up. Noah. He was already dialing. "No," she said quickly, "I don't want charity." He paused. "This isn't charity." "Then what is it?" His eyes met hers. Protection. The word should have comforted her. Instead, it scared her, because for the first time, Amelia realized Noah Bennett was not afraid of Grant Whitmore. Not even a little. The next day, Madison came to the apartment. She arrived in oversized sunglasses and a cream coat Amelia recognized from her own old closet. She looked around the hallway with disgust before Amelia even opened the door fully. "So it's true," Madison said. "You actually live here." Amelia held the doorframe. "Why are you here?" Madison smiled thinly. "Grant wanted me to check on you." "Grant can check on me through his lawyers." The smile vanished. "You're making a mistake. This sad little marriage won't save you." Mason appeared behind Amelia, clutching his toy truck. Madison's eyes dropped to him. "And you're playing stepmother now? That's desperate, even for you." Amelia moved slightly, blocking Mason from view. Her voice stayed quiet. "Leave." Madison leaned closer. "You think you've found dignity because some poor man married you? Amelia, he can't even protect himself." From behind her, Noah spoke. "I'd be careful with assumptions." Madison turned. Noah stood in the hallway, carrying a paper bag of groceries, wearing old jeans and that faded flannel. He looked like exactly the kind of man Madison would dismiss. "So she did." "Oh," she said, "the husband." Noah set the groceries down. "And you are?" Madison flushed. "You know who I am." "I know what you are," he said calmly. "That's different." Amelia stared at him. Madison's mouth opened, but no words came. Noah picked up the legal envelope from the small table near the door and handed it to her. "Tell Grant his complaint has been received. He'll get a response soon." Madison glanced at it, then laughed. "From who?" "A free clinic lawyer." Noah's face did not change. "No," he said, "from someone who reads contracts better than he does." For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Madison's face. She left without another insult. That night, Mason climbed onto the couch beside Amelia and rested his head against her shoulder. "Are we a real family now?" he asked. Amelia looked at Noah across the room. He was watching her with an expression she could not read. Regret, maybe, or longing, or the weight of a secret growing too heavy to hold. Amelia kissed Mason's hair. "We are trying to be," she said. And across the room, Noah looked away first. The legal complaint should have crushed Amelia. That was what Grant wanted. He expected fear. He expected silence. He expected her to call, trembling, and ask what he wanted her to sign. Instead, Amelia went to the public library with Noah's notebook, a cheap pen, and every rejection email she had received since the engagement party. She wrote down names, dates, companies, recruiters, exact phrases. Whitmore situation, avoid. Not a good fit at this time. We don't want unnecessary complications. By the end of the week, the notebook was no longer a symbol of failure. It was a map. Noah had been right. There was a pattern, and patterns could be used. On Friday morning, an attorney named Lillian Cross called Amelia. Her voice was crisp, calm, and expensive. "Mrs. Bennett," she said, "I'll be representing you regarding Whitmore Development's complaint." Amelia froze in Noah's kitchen, one hand around her coffee mug. "I'm sorry, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I didn't hire." "No misunderstanding. My retainer has been handled." Amelia turned slowly toward Noah. He was at the table, helping Mason tie his shoes for school. "Noah," she said carefully, covering the phone, "who is Lillian Cross?" Noah did not look surprised. "A lawyer." "I gathered that." "A good one." "How good?" He tied Mason's second shoe. "Good enough." Amelia narrowed her eyes. "That is not an answer." Mason looked between them. "Daddy gives those a lot." Noah sighed. "Mason." "It's true." Amelia almost smiled, but the unease in her chest was stronger. After Mason left for school, she stood across from Noah in the kitchen. The apartment smelled like toast and coffee. Outside, rain tapped against the window. "No more half answers," she said. Noah's face softened. "Amelia." "No, I need to know what I'm standing inside of. Grant is threatening me. Madison keeps circling like she's waiting for me to collapse. My mother calls only to tell me not to embarrass the family. And now some powerful attorney I can't afford is calling me Mrs. Bennett, like she works for us." Noah was quiet. Too quiet. Amelia's voice lowered. "Who are you?" He looked at her for a long moment. Then his second phone rang. The sound cut through the room like a warning. Amelia laughed once without humor. "Of course." Noah glanced at the screen and declined the call. That surprised her. He placed the phone on the table between them. "I was going to tell you." "When?" "When telling you wouldn't make you feel trapped." "I already feel trapped. I'm just trying to figure out whether you're one of the walls." Pain crossed his face. Before he could answer, his phone lit again. This time, Amelia saw the name on the screen. "El Cross." Noah answered on speaker. Lillian's voice filled the kitchen. "The Whitmore response is ready. Also, the board packet for the Harbor Line Infrastructure Award has been updated. Whitmore Development is still listed as a finalist for the $8.9 billion contract." Amelia stopped breathing. Noah closed his eyes briefly. Lillian continued. "Do you want the recommendation delayed until you review Grant Whitmore's conduct personally?" Noah did not speak. Amelia stared at him. "Harbor Line Infrastructure. $8.9 billion. Whitmore Development." The contract Grant had bragged about for months. The contract that would turn his family company from powerful to untouchable. Noah's voice was low. "Send everything to my private account." "Yes, Mr. Bennett, or should I use the chairman line?" Amelia's fingers tightened around the back of the chair. "Chairman." Noah ended the call. The room went silent except for the rain. Amelia stepped back. "Chairman of what?" Noah's face had lost all its practiced calm. "Blackstone Harbor Global," he said. The name was familiar. Everyone in Newport knew it, even if they had never seen the person behind it. Blackstone Harbor Global owned ports, technology firms, shipping networks, energy assets, and half the skyline Grant's family wished they controlled. Amelia shook her head. "No. No. No, because Blackstone Harbor Global is worth more than most countries, Noah said quietly. She stared at his flannel shirt, his old jeans, the apartment with the leaky window, the chipped mugs, the second-hand sofa where Mason watched cartoons. You told me you were a consultant. I am sometimes. That is what you're choosing to say right now. He flinched. I stepped back from public life after Mason's mother died. I didn't want him raised in boardrooms, guarded houses, and fake smiles. I kept the apartment because it was the first place he slept through the night after she was gone. Amelia's anger faltered, but it did not vanish. You married me without telling me you were a trillionaire. I married you because you needed shelter from people using power against you. And you had more power than all of them. Yes. The honesty landed hard. Amelia turned away, pressing both hands to the counter. Do you understand how humiliating this is? Noah's voice was gentle. I never wanted to humiliate you. But you let me believe I was choosing a poor man. You let me think we were both standing at the bottom together. He said nothing. That mattered to me, Noah. I chose you because I thought you were honest, because I thought you had nothing to gain from me and nothing to hide. I had nothing to gain from you. But you had something to hide. His silence answered for him. Amelia grabbed her coat. Noah straightened. Where are you going? For a walk. It's raining. Good. He stepped toward her, then stopped himself. Amelia. She looked back. For the first time since she had met him, Noah Bennett looked afraid. Not of Grant, not of lawsuits, not of losing money. Of losing her. That should have softened her. Instead, it hurt worse. I won't tell anyone, she said. Your secret is safe. That's not what I'm worried about. I know, she whispered. Then she walked out. Across town, Madison Vale sat in Grant's penthouse, wearing Amelia's old robe again, scrolling through gossip accounts for any mention of Amelia's downfall. Instead, she found a blurry photo taken outside a law office that morning. Amelia was stepping from Noah's old truck. Beside her stood Lillian Cross. Madison knew that face. Everyone did. Lillian Cross did not represent ordinary people. She represented billionaires, corporations, and families with enough power to make newspapers nervous. Madison zoomed in on the photo. Then she saw the folder in Lillian's hand. Blackstone Harbor Global. Madison's smile slowly disappeared. For the first time since stealing Amelia's ring, she wondered if she had chosen the wrong side of the story. And by midnight, jealousy had turned into panic. Madison did not sleep that night. She sat in Grant's penthouse with her laptop open, the city glowing beyond the glass walls, and searched Noah Bennett's name until her eyes burned. At first, there was almost nothing. No social pages, no interviews, no glossy magazine profiles, no yacht photos, no charity gala smiles. Just a few old business articles with blurred images, legal filings with initials, and corporate records buried behind layers of holding companies. Then Madison found one archived photograph from 8 years ago. A younger Noah stood at the edge of a boardroom table in a charcoal suit, no tie, one hand resting on a folder. The caption read, Noah Bennett, founder and controlling chairman of Blackstone Harbor Global, oversees private acquisition talks. Madison's breath caught. Controlling chairman. Not employee. Not consultant. Founder. She slammed the laptop shut so hard Grant looked up from the bar. What is wrong with you? He asked. Madison turned slowly. Do you know who Amelia married? Grant rolled his eyes. A broke single father with bad shoes. No, Madison whispered. She married Noah Bennett. Grant stared. So. Madison laughed, but there was no humor in it. Blackstone Harbor Global's Noah Bennett. The color drained from Grant's face. For the first time since Amelia had known him, Grant Whitmore had no polished answer ready. "That's impossible," he said. Madison opened the laptop again and shoved it toward him. "Read." Grant did. His expression changed line by line. Then he stood so quickly his glass tipped over, spilling whiskey across the marble counter. Blackstone Harbor Global was not just rich. It was the company his father had spent 2 years trying to impress. It controlled the private infrastructure board, preparing to award the Harbor Line expansion contract. The $8.9 billion contract. The contract Grant had believed was already close enough to touch. And Noah Bennett, the man Grant had mocked over the phone, owned the company deciding his future. Madison pressed both hands to her mouth. "We made a mistake." Grant's eyes snapped to her. "We? You announced us in front of everyone. You wanted that. You gave me her ring. You wore it." Madison recoiled. The ring suddenly felt heavy on her finger. It no longer looked like victory, it looked like evidence. Grant began packing. "We can fix this." "How?" "We control the story." Madison's stomach tightened. "What does that mean?" Grant stopped packing and looked at her in a way that made her wish she had never asked. "It means Amelia can't look innocent." The next morning, Madison posted a statement. Not a photo. Not a caption. A statement. She wrote that Amelia had known about Grant's change of heart before the engagement party. She claimed Amelia had staged her public humiliation to gain sympathy. She said Amelia had targeted Noah Bennett deliberately, manipulating a grieving single father for money and revenge. Then came the worst part. Madison claimed Amelia had stolen confidential Whitmore development documents and passed them to Noah to sabotage Grant's $8.9 billion Harbor Line bid. By noon, the lie was everywhere. By 1, reporters were outside Noah's apartment building. By 2, Blackstone Harbor Global's media office had received formal questions about whether its chairman had married a woman involved in corporate espionage. By 3, Mason came home from school crying because a parent in the parking lot had asked if his new mom was a thief. That was when Amelia stopped feeling hurt and started feeling cold. She sat on the sofa with Mason curled against her side, his small hands gripping her sweater. Noah stood by the window, watching the reporters below. He wore old jeans and a faded gray shirt, but the man in the room was no longer hiding behind them. His stillness had changed. It was no longer quiet strength. It was controlled fury. "I didn't steal anything," Amelia said. Noah turned. "I know. Grant knows too." "Yes." "And Madison knows." Noah's jaw tightened. "Yes." Mason sniffled. "Are they going to take you away?" Amelia's heart twisted. She pulled him closer. "No, sweetheart, nobody is taking me away." Mason looked at Noah. "Daddy, make them stop." Noah closed his eyes for 1 second. When he opened them, the hesitation was gone. "I will." Amelia stood carefully, easing Mason onto the couch. "Noah, what are you going to do?" "What I should have done before they touched your name." "That sounds dangerous." "No," he said, "it sounds documented." An hour later, Lillian Cross arrived with 2 associates, 3 sealed folders, and the expression of a woman who had been waiting for permission to ruin someone professionally. She placed the folders on the coffee table. "Madison's statement creates liability," Lillian said. "Defamation, tortious interference, false light, possibly conspiracy. Depending on Grant's involvement." Amelia stared at the paperwork. "This is bigger than me now, isn't it?" Noah answered softly. "It became bigger when they brought Mason into it." Lillian opened the first folder. "We also obtained internal communications from Whitmore Development. Legally, their own compliance system flagged them because Mr. Whitmore used company channels to discuss pressuring recruiters not to hire you." Amelia's throat tightened. Lillian opened the second folder. There are also messages between Grant and Madison discussing the engagement party before it happened. Amelia looked up sharply. Before. Lillian nodded. It was staged. The room tilted. Noah stepped closer, but did not touch her without permission. Amelia read the printed messages with trembling hands. "Make sure Amelia walks in after the announcement. Wear the ring where people can see it. The more shocked she looks, the easier it is to paint her as unstable later." Madison had replied with 3 words. "She deserves it." Amelia sat back slowly. For weeks, she had wondered if Madison had simply been selfish, weak, or swept away by Grant's attention. But this was different. This was cruelty with planning. Noah's voice was low. "Amelia." She looked at him. For the first time, she did not see the flannel, the old truck, or the small apartment. She saw the man powerful people feared enough to hide from public view. "What happens now?" she asked. Noah picked up the 3rd folder. "This," he said, "is the Harborline Award review." Amelia's eyes widened. "Noah, you can't make a corporate decision because of me." "I'm not." He handed her the folder. Inside were compliance reports, risk assessments, financial inconsistencies, and a recommendation stamped in red. Whitmore Development, high reputational and ethical risk. Noah said, "Grant didn't lose this contract because he betrayed you. He lost it because betrayal was only one symptom of how he does business." Lillian glanced toward Noah. "The emergency board session begins tomorrow night at the Blackstone Harbor Gala." Amelia remembered the ballroom, the phones, the whispers. Another room. Another audience. But this time, Noah would not let them write the ending. That evening, Madison called Amelia 17 times. Amelia answered on the 18th. Madison was crying. "I didn't know Grant would take it this far." Amelia looked at the printed message on the table. "She deserves it." "You took it there first," Amelia said. Madison sobbed. "Please, if Noah destroys Grant, I go down too." Amelia's voice stayed calm. "You should have thought of that before you tried to destroy me." Then she ended the call. Across the room, Noah watched her with quiet pride. Mason came out in pajamas, rubbing his eyes. "Are we still a real family?" Amelia looked at Noah. There were still secrets between them, still wounds, still truths that would take time. But Mason was waiting, and for once, Amelia knew her answer. "Yes," she said softly, "we are." The Blackstone Harbor Gala was held in a glass-walled tower overlooking the city. It was nothing like the Whitmore Ballroom. There were no gold columns, no champagne towers built for spectacle, no guests pretending gossip was concern. Everything here felt sharper, quieter, more powerful. The kind of room where people did not need to announce their wealth because their signatures moved markets before breakfast. Amelia stood near the entrance in a midnight blue gown Noah had not chosen for her. She had chosen it herself. That mattered. Noah stood beside her in a charcoal suit with no tie, Mason between them in a small navy jacket, proudly holding Amelia's hand. "You look like a princess," Mason whispered. Amelia smiled down at him. "You look like trouble." He grinned. "Fancy trouble." Noah looked at them both, and for a moment the weight in his face softened. Then the room noticed him. Not the room in theory. The room itself seemed to change. Conversations thinned, shoulders straightened, eyes widened. People who had ignored Noah in diners, hallways, and gossip posts suddenly understood they had been looking at one of the richest and most powerful men in the world without recognizing him. A woman near the bar whispered, "That's Noah Bennett." Another said, "I thought he retired." "No," someone replied, "he just stopped being seen." Amelia heard the whispers, but they no longer felt like knives. This time, people were not whispering because she had been abandoned. They were whispering because she had survived. Across the room, Grant Whitmore stood with his father, Richard. Grant wore a tuxedo and the strained smile of a man trying to look calm while watching his future burn behind his eyes. Madison stood beside him in a silver dress, but she looked nothing like the woman who had worn Amelia's ring with triumph. Her face was pale, her fingers kept twisting together. The ring was gone. When Madison saw Amelia, her lips trembled. Amelia looked away first. Not because she was weak. Because Madison no longer deserved the center of her attention. A few minutes before the board announcement, Grant approached them. "Noah," he said, forcing a laugh, "or should I say Mr. Bennett, seems we all had a misunderstanding." Noah's expression did not change. No misunderstanding. Grant swallowed. "Look, what happened with Amelia was personal. Messy, yes, but personal. Business should remain business." Amelia almost laughed. Noah's voice stayed calm. "You used business to punish her." Grant's smile cracked. "That's not accurate. It's documented." Richard Whitmore stepped in smoothly. "Mr. Bennett, surely we can discuss this privately." "No," Noah said. "You had many chances to handle things privately. You chose public humiliation, legal intimidation, employment interference, and defamation." Madison stepped forward, tears filling her eyes. "Amelia, please, I made a mistake." Amelia looked at her former best friend. For 12 years, she had told Madison everything, her fears, her dreams, her wedding plans. Madison had known exactly where to strike because Amelia had trusted her with the map. "A mistake is forgetting a birthday," Amelia said quietly. "You planned my humiliation, wore my ring, lied about me, and dragged a child into it." Madison covered her mouth. "I'm not carrying your guilt for you," Amelia continued. "Not anymore." Before Madison could answer, the lights dimmed. A board member stepped onto the stage and invited Noah forward. The applause was careful at first, then thunderous. Noah walked to the podium like a man who had never needed applause to know who he was. Behind him, a screen displayed the Harbor Line expansion project. $8.9 billion infrastructure award. Grant's eyes locked on the stage. This was the moment he had built his entire year around. Noah adjusted the microphone. "Tonight," he said, "Blackstone Harbor Global concludes its review of the Harbor Line expansion contract. This award was designed to support innovation, reliability, and long-term public trust." He paused. Trust is not a slogan. It is a business asset. When leadership treats people as disposable in private, that behavior eventually appears in public risk. The room went silent. Noah continued, "Following a full compliance review, Whitmore Development has been removed from consideration." Grant went white. Richard whispered something harsh under his breath. Noah did not look at them. The contract will instead be awarded to Northline Civic Infrastructure, supported by an independent ethics and labor oversight board. The screen changed. Then came the signature. Noah Bennett, Executive Chairman, Blackstone Harbor Global. A sound moved through the gala like a wave. Grant staggered back half a step. Madison began crying openly. But Noah was not finished. "In addition," he said, "Blackstone Harbor Global has filed civil action regarding false statements made against my wife, Amelia Bennett. We have also submitted evidence of employment interference to the appropriate authorities." My wife. Not charity. Not scandal. Not the woman Grant discarded. His wife. Amelia felt Mason squeeze her hand. Noah looked directly at her from the stage. "And finally," he said, "Blackstone Harbor Global will be launching the Bennett Second Chance Initiative, funding legal and career support for people whose reputations have been damaged by powerful individuals abusing their influence. Amelia's breath caught. He had not just defended her. He had turned the weapon used against her into shelter for others. That was the unimaginable thing. Not revenge for revenge's sake. Reversal. Grant had tried to erase her with money, lawyers, gossip, and power. Noah used documents, truth, and an $8.9 billion decision to make sure the whole room remembered her name with respect. After the announcement, Grant tried to reach Amelia again. Amelia, wait. She stopped but did not turn fully. Grant's face was desperate now. I was wrong. Yes, she said. I didn't know he was rich, Amelia asked. Grant had no answer. That was answer enough. You didn't lose me because Noah was richer, she said. You lost me when you thought my worth depended on who chose me. She walked away before he could speak. Near the windows, Evelyn waited with tears in her eyes. I failed you, her mother whispered. Amelia's chest tightened. Yes. Evelyn flinched. But maybe one day, Amelia said, we can talk about it. It was not forgiveness. Not yet. But it was a door left unlocked. Later, on the balcony above the city, Noah found Amelia alone with 2 cups of coffee. Bad coffee, he asked. She handed him one, expensive bad coffee. He smiled faintly. For a moment, they stood side by side, looking out at the lights. I'm still angry you hid the truth, Amelia said. I know. But I understand why you were afraid. Noah looked at her. Would you still have married me if you'd known? Amelia thought of the ballroom, the fountain, the water bottle, Mason's small voice asking if she was sad, and the courthouse dress that had felt more honest than diamonds. Yes, she said softly, but I would have made you explain yourself first. Noah laughed under his breath. Mason burst onto the balcony in fancy trouble mode. Are we going home now? Amelia looked at Noah. Then at the little boy who had become the bridge between a broken life and a real one. Yes, she said, we're going home. And behind them, the city kept glowing, unaware that the woman everyone had pitied had become the woman they would never forget.